All right, today we are diving into a hidden world. I mean, it's a bustling, invisible ecosystem that exists inside every single one of us. And it is completely revolutionizing how we think about our health, our moods, our social lives, and yeah, even how we age. So, just to get a sense of the scale we're talking about, let me hit you with a pretty mind-bending fact. Over 99% of all the genetic material in your body, it isn't human. It's microbial. I mean, think about that. All that time and money spent mapping the human genome was for less than 1% of the total genes we're all carrying around. It's wild. And it's not just about the genes. If you just count the cells, the ratio is about 1 to 1. For every human cell you have, there's roughly one microbial cell living in or on you. So we're not just individuals, are we? We're more like walking, talking ecosystems. As one scientist, Dr. John Cryan, likes to joke, the next time you use the bathroom, you are quite literally becoming more human. So what do we call this internal universe? It's called the microbiome. And these microbes aren't some recent invaders. Nope, they were here long before we were, and we've been co-evolving with them for thousands and thousands of years. This has led to this really cool concept of the hologenome, this idea that our human genes and all these microbial genes, well, they navigate the world together as one single team. Okay, and this brings us to what might be the most surprising connection of all, this incredibly powerful communication line between our gut and our brain. And we're not just talking about digestion here. We're talking about our personality, our behavior, the very essence of who we are. I know what you're thinking. That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? The idea that these tiny organisms inside you could be pulling the strings, influencing who you hang out with, how you act in a crowd. But you know what? The scientific evidence is really starting to pile up. So check this out. In lab studies, mice are naturally social creatures. They'd much rather go investigate another mouse than just stare at an empty box. But if you raise mice in a totally sterile, germ-free environment, so no microbiome, they lose that social drive. They don't care anymore. They also lose interest in social novelty. A new mouse is no more exciting than one they've known forever. It's like, without their microbes, some of the most fundamental parts of their social behavior just vanish. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? The main social network isn't Facebook, it's your microbiome. It completely reframes what it means to be a social animal. This intricate web of connections we have might actually be influenced by an even more intricate web of microbes inside of us. So this internal ecosystem is vital. We're seeing that. But here's the catch. It's surprisingly fragile. And one of the biggest threats it faces in our modern world is actually something many of us see as a cornerstone of modern medicine. Now, let's be clear. Broad-spectrum antibiotics are medical marvels. They save lives, no question about it. But they are not precision missiles. They're more like a carpet bomb. They're designed to wipe out a huge range of bacteria, and they don't really distinguish between a dangerous pathogen and the beneficial microbes that we've co-evolved with. In effect, they're like a wildfire tearing through a forest. So here's how it goes down. When antibiotics get into your gut, they just start eliminating vast numbers of microbes. The diversity of that ecosystem just collapses. And all of a sudden, you've got all this empty real estate, this vacant space, that can then be taken over by opportunistic and sometimes pretty dangerous bacteria that were being kept in check before. And you can really see the impact on this chart. Look, you've got high diversity before the treatment, then a dramatic crash right after, and then a very, very slow and sometimes incomplete recovery. I mean, some research shows it can take up to 2 years for the microbiome to bounce back. And for some people, it might never fully return to the way it was. Okay, so that sounds pretty bad, right? Our inner world can get seriously damaged. But it's not all doom and gloom. The next logical question is, can we fix it? Can we support, protect, and maybe even restore this ecosystem? And the answer is a big yes. The approaches range from things we can all start doing today to the absolute frontiers of medical science. So we kind of have two main playbooks here. On one hand, you've got the daily support through diet, which is all about prevention and maintenance. And on the other hand, we've got this radical therapeutic intervention called fecal microbiota transplantation, or FMT, which is basically a total system reboot. Let's think of your microbiome as your own personal factory. To keep it running smoothly, you have to provide the right raw materials. So fiber is amazing. It gets broken down to produce these really beneficial compounds. Then you have polyphenols. Those are the chemicals that give plants their vibrant colors, and they are fantastic microbe food. We're talking colorful plants, dark chocolate, even red wine. And of course, fermented foods like yogurt or kefir can introduce new helpful workers to your factory floor. Okay, now for the really cutting-edge science. FMT. I know it sounds a little weird, but it involves transferring gut microbes from a healthy donor to a recipient. It's already a super effective treatment for nasty C. diff infections, and now researchers are looking into its potential for a whole host of other conditions, including neurological disorders. Now, this is really just a snapshot of where the research is at. For autism spectrum disorder, some human trials have linked FMT to decreased symptom severity. For Parkinson's, animal models are showing improved motor function. And the evidence for MS is really interesting. Transplanting microbes from MS patients actually made the disease worse in mice, which just highlights how crucial getting the right microbial balance really is. Look, this is all incredibly promising, but it's still a very active and very new area of research. So this all leads us to the biggest questions of all, right? If our microbes can influence our brains and our moods so deeply, could they also influence how we age? Let's look at one final, absolutely fascinating experiment. Picture this. Researchers took geriatric mice, old mice, showing all the typical signs of cognitive decline. Then, they gave them a microbiome transplant from young, healthy mice. And the results? They were stunning, absolutely mind-blowing. The brains of the old mice were rejuvenated. The inflammation went down, and the actual chemical composition of their memory center, the hippocampus, started to look just like that of the young mice. Now, hold on. The big take-home message here is not to go steal your grandkids' poop, okay? What this is a powerful proof of concept. It's telling us that by taking care of our microbes throughout our lives, we might actually be able to protect our minds as we get older. It's a whole new lever we can pull for healthy aging. And that really leads to the most empowering idea in this entire field. It's a true paradigm shift in how we think about our own health. You can't change your genes, right? You're stuck with what your parents gave you. But as this quote says, your microbiome is different. It's dynamic. It's influenced by your diet, your lifestyle, your environment. It is modifiable. This isn't just interesting science, it gives us a new kind of agency over our health that we never thought was possible. So, we'll leave you with this thought. We are truly at the beginning of a revolution in medicine and in health. Discovering this world within us has opened up an entirely new frontier, and it leaves us all with one profound question to ponder. If you can change your microbes, what parts of your future can you change too?